Welcome to yet another edition of Still Uncaptured with myself, Undumiso Wakangcobo, iqadi laseHammersdale nakwamnamatha. Yeah, you can go li. Come on.
The thing is, I'm not a good Lisa. It's okay, but it's not like.
But it's actually quite amazing. That thing is a skill. We'll talk about it.
It is a skill.
It really is
that I don't clearly possess.
Guys, your support has been amazing. It's been overwhelming. You guys have shown us that you've shown us love, man. You've shown us that you want to have these conversations with us. You remind us of a time when we had this love every single day of the week. And we're really enjoying this. This is Still Uncaptured. Subscribe to our podcast. Subscribe, but also browse around Spotify, man. Come on. There's so much. You know, whatever you think about podcasts, the podcasts that you do see, I like, you know, just a little bit that is showing at the top. The tip of the
slither.
It's a tip
There's
of an
so
iceberg.
many brilliant
so
people.
Much brilliant people
on the bouquet.
Yeah. So we today are going to be just having a series of conversations. Because it's not one conversation, right?
It's a series.
You know, and I do not know, Khomotso. But of course, before you do all of that, you got to introduce yourself. I didn't give you the...
It's okay. My name is Khomotso Matsungane, otherwise known as Khomotso L Matsungane, L being for Louisa.
Rakhadi.
So my nickname is Wizzy. I may not be Ikadi, but I am Wizzy.
West meets Zulu.
Yes. Completely. All right, Mar.
No, very good.
Very
good. Yourself?
I'm here.
We'll get there. I know during this conversation, the real you and how you're feeling is going to come out. And we're going to start on a bit of a somber story. It's a story that by the time you see it, is going to be a story that has grown so many legs.
There will be a new hashtag with a new name.
Yes.
That's my prediction. I'm not wishing this on anybody. I just know my country.
Olorato
Mongale.
And remember that name not because, you know, and this seems almost odd to say, not because there is something so unique about what happened to her, tragically, because there are so many of these stories around. But this is one that has actually captured the imagination of the South African public, particularly, at least for me, and I suspect for you, because this is a woman that actually a young woman who did everything that we have said to young women they must do in order for them to not suffer the tragedy that she suffered, right?
Yep. She met a man in a mall.
Yeah.
They exchanged numbers. They clearly talked that week. They made an appointment to meet. Because she didn't know him, she notified her friends. I will be in touch every 30 minutes. All right? If you don't hear from me, something is wrong. Imagine every 30 minutes. Yeah. So it's in the first 30 minutes that her one friend realized there's something wrong because she's not even answering this call.
So here's one of the things that I've seen on the socials, right? Where people said, oh, if she was that cautious and so if she was already suspicious, can we just clear the air on that one? Are you ever not suspicious around a man that you have just met that you do not know? As a woman, are you ever comfortable around any man? So that we dispel this notion that, oh, she must have, her sixth sense was picking something. I don't think it was her sixth sense picking anything up about this guy. I think that she generally just felt that when I meet someone that I have never met before, my antenna need to be up.
Fair behavior. You don't know this person.
You do not know him.
You just know their number and the name that they call you, and he called himself John.
When you and I first met in 2007, I remember, was it November, December? It was December. It was
December.
2007. you had absolutely no idea.
Nope.
No idea. We sat, we met, we had a meal, we had drinks.
Okay, having said that though, you were a relatively known person.
Yes.
If anybody needed to find you, it wouldn't be difficult. Mom, I'm going to lunch with some guy, but I can do me some mob.
Yes.
Do you understand? But that's about all she knew.
But what about, you say that, right? I do not remember his name, although I think I remember his surname. A Josie FM DJ.
Okay.
Who pulled exactly the same thing. Do you remember that story?
No.
Of a woman who got chopped up and disappeared, and this person was a radio presenter and was going out with him. And what ended up happening? I actually think his surname was Sibulai, actually.
Isn't he out of jail already? Like he's actually served his time?
I do not know.
Guys, okay, but what we're really talking about in Dumiso is what is referred to in this country as gender-based violence.
Yes.
Yeah? Like intimate, something that happens when a woman is killed by an intimate partner.
By someone that she is romantically interested in.
Without a doubt. Romantically linked with, has children with, is married to. Yeah. Basically, that's what gender-based violence is, right? Yeah. In South Africa, we have found out, unfortunately, and I don't know what the particular reason is for this, but that we really have a high level of gender-based violence based on an average around the world.
It is disproportionate.
Completely disproportionate.
Yeah.
What role is there for the Black African father? What role do they play in the current situation? What kind of conversations do you have with your sons if you are a father? If you're a mother even, what kind of conversations when something like the Olorato Mongale incident happens? And here's what kills me. Olorato, we know. There are those we don't know, whose names we will never know. So that's just one name. For some reason, ever so often people like Uyinene, some names click more than others. I don't know if it's a middle class thing, for whatever reason. And I think it's a poverty thing as well, because there's also undocumented people in this country. Can you imagine that the rate at which undocumented women are violated and we don't know about them because nobody cares. Nobody even knows that they are missing. Olorato, we knew very soon after she disappeared that something was wrong. Yeah. Because she had told friends there was a cell phone. They had gone to, they found her phone and with her bag. Do you understand? Honalibo find my iPhone. Yeah. For somebody who's living in what we nicely call informal settlements, but are technically squatter camps. Yeah. Yeah, where children disappear on a daily basis. I did a documentary. I did 3 5-minute documentaries for the city of Ekurhuleni about 7 years ago, trying to assess the situation, service delivery in informal settlements. Yeah. And we went to about 3 informal settlements where the issue of children being taken in the middle of the night from their parents' beds was alarming. And
you're actually so right, because as you're speaking, I'm running in my head, cases that I have seen just in the last 2 months. Let me just say in the last 2 months. The number of times on my timelines, a young girl appears. Please help us find Ayanda. Please help us find Bongekile. Right. And generally, these are girls, and I think you're onto something there, that are generally, they look like they're middle class. They will go typically to your Model C type schools.
Or private.
Or, they are in uniform. You can tell that this child, someone is looking for her. How many of these kids that I see as I drive around, if I go to Alex, because I go into many townships, or I go to Deep Sloot, I go to all kinds of places, and I sometimes look at all these girls and I'm like, if this girl were to go missing, would anyone really be looking for her? And that's actually quite a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, you actually, when we were preparing for this show, you shared a quote with me.
Margaret
that,
Atwood.
Yeah.
Margaret Atwood has a very famous quote, well, at least it's attributed to her, all right?
Yes.
She says, men are afraid that they will be humiliated by women.
Yes.
Okay? Women are afraid that men will kill them.
And I do not know if you actually watched. Did you actually get to watch Adolescence on Netflix?
On Netflix. I did.
And that quote is precisely.
But how crazy is that? That you are afraid.
Yeah.
I'll embarrass you. I'll humiliate you. So it's a hubris at play.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that Undumiso might kill me. Do you see the imbalance of power of those two? That men are embarrassed about how they look in front of other people. Women are afraid of angering you, of upsetting you up to a point where you might unleash such violence that you kill me. Embarrassment, death. Embarrassment, death. You can't even equate the two.
Because how I was raised, how I grew up, because obviously I grew up being surrounded by boys. And by the way, this is from boyhood, which is why for men, there is such a thing as pecking order.
Right.
As women, you guys establish all of those things as adults, as young women, when you are at varsity or in your 20s, if you've got a pecking order at all. Me, on the other hand, pecking orders and who's the alpha male was established by the time I was 7, 8. Do you know why? Anytime I said something that someone did not like, there was a fist fight and they would punch me in the mouth. And this is how we are raised as young boys. We grow up knowing that the only way to assert yourself over someone is to hit them.
Right.
Is to inflict violence upon them. So this is what I'm going to say to you. You know how afraid women, for a good reason, that you are afraid of men? What a lot of women perhaps may not know is how petrified men are of other men. As in, if I am walking at 1 a.m. and I see a group of 8 women walking towards me, they could be sloshed, they could be drunk and having fun. I don't experience any fear.
The last feeling you will experience is fear.
Is fear. They might laugh at me.
Right.
They might make fun of me. They might make fun of the way I walk, whatever. But I do not have any fear. Do you know what happens when I'm walking at 1 a.m. and I just see 2 men approaching?
You run.
I immediately, my bladder fills up. I feel like I need to pee because I can sense that there is danger because I'm meeting men. So it's, Margaret Atwood, I think, was spot on about why women, because I don't want to make this about how I feel about men. So if I am feeling that way, I do not even have the imagination to be like, what does it feel like to be walking at 1 a.m. for whatever reason?
Right.
And you meet 3 guys and they are coming your way.
There's still 2 men in the Olorato case.
Yeah.
One was killed.
Yeah.
And South Africa was celebrating. Yay, Mkwanazi. Yeah, Mkwanazi is the...
He's the provincial
head of police.
Commissioner of police in KwaZulu-Natal.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's a very Duterte kind of character.
He is extremely popular. And may I add, for a very good reason, because honestly speaking, General Mkwanazi, when it comes to KZN, is kicking butt. He is truly making an impact because the levels of lawlessness, and Khumuzo, there's no way to actually explain this to you when you live in Gauteng. If you think Gauteng is lawless, KZN,
it was
guns.
It can't be.
No, I promise you, it is. No, it's not even 5. It's not even 10 times worse. In KZN, it's the Wild West. Everyone has got a gun in that province. You and I, in one of our earlier episodes, I said this to you. It's like everyone has got a gun. Guns are brandished everywhere. You go to your normal shopping center at the Pick and Pay or the Woolies, and there's going to be some guy who comes out of his SUV and there's just like 3 guys with guns. And I'm not talking about pistols. I'm talking about assault rifles just walking with him. KZN, there's a certain level and a particular hue of lawlessness that is there where seriously communities in that particular province live in fear.
So I mentioned Duterte, and
Yes.
Duterte, if you don't know, was a Palestinian, Filipino president.
Yeah.
And he was Mr. Shoot to Kill.
Yes.
He literally mowed down thousands of gangsters.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Gangsters?
Gangsters.
Yeah.
Because he was cleaning up the country. I don't know how successful it is. It'd be interesting to talk to somebody there. Maybe we should. But here, talk to me about this. Sort of like, so Mkhwanazi came into a lawless province and
he is truly doing the best that he can. But here is my problem with it. And it's got nothing to do with General Mkhwanazi. He's just doing his job because the police will get to a house and whatever, and whoever is inside is as armed as they are. And because everyone just in KZN, so it's almost like, who's got them? Who's got more guns? Who's got more guns?
Right.
And then they'll shoot at the police,
Right.
and then they'll shoot back. But unfortunately, that's not 100% of the time that this happens. And it is, for me, nothing that should really be as celebrated without any level of, a level of pause. There's a cautionary thing that we need to be careful about celebrating police shooting suspects. Because the people that get shot are suspects. We are very quick to just label them criminals. Because according to our constitution, according to our law, there is only one person only who can declare that someone is a criminal.
Right.
And that is a judge and a magistrate. This little thing called due process. The fact that people need to go and have a court trial that determines their innocence, well, not really innocence, whether they are guilty or not guilty of a crime, because it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. At which point, as a society, perhaps then we can have a conversation about, do we bring back the death penalty?
No.
But the shooting of suspects,
Right.
of just me sitting there with guys that I know from childhood and I run into them and I end up with them, and meanwhile then the police come and they shoot to kill and I'm there. I don't think I want to live in that society.
You must be in a really precarious position.
I really am.
You have 3 boys
Yes.
and 1 girl.
Yes.
You have 3 boys. So
Yes.
I'm curious as to the kind of conversations when something like Olorato happens. They must be as mortified, right? So what kind of men are you sort of like raising
Yes.
to be able to be sensitive to such?
Yeah.
But at the same time, boys who can hold their own in a fight. If
Yes.
somebody also says, Utini.
Utini.
Now you kind of also have to show a little bit. How do you balance the two as a father?
Because I can tell you this, that the only reason I am 53 is because, yes, I've got to be judicious. I've got to be very careful because we live in a particularly violent society. Almost of the 20,000 people that get killed in South Africa, right? Who is the most represented in the demographic that actually gets killed?
Men, black men.
Black men.
Let's be specific. Black men.
Black men. Killed by whom?
Black men.
For what reason?
Alcohol. Usually there's alcohol involved. Let's be honest.
It's stupid things like I get to the BP or the engine and I'm trying to park. I'm trying to get to the Bowser and someone else is coming on the other side. Testosterone takes over.
Right.
Right. Or we're sitting, and it's amazing how many are just friends sitting in a tavern and people laugh at my hairstyle or they laugh at my shoes. And then that altercation ends up being a gun. Or fighting over Khumutso.
Right.
Oh, Khumutso, why do you come here? Khumutso was talking to me. Now you've gone, come and bought her savannas and blah, blah, blah. And that's how we shoot each other. So when I go out in public, I am that guy that's always, if someone steps over,
You apologize.
no, askisi abuti. Ngiyaxolisa mfowethu.
I'm so sorry.
Unyawo lwami luvele lwangena phansi kolwakho. Ngase manje nginyathelisa kabi. I know I'm wearing white.
But it's probably
sneakers.
saved your life.
It has saved my life so many times. But you are also correct in the sense that also, on the other hand, I've also had my life saved by the fact that someone tried something. I was like, I'm trying to now.
Right.
It's like when.
Right.
It's like, no, that guy. I am mortified to say to you, and I was drunk. I have to say this. To say, I have said to someone who had already drawn out, that already pulled out their gun. And I was like, this guy is either going to shoot me or he's not going to shoot me. And I went there. And I was like, hey, mafuna ukungidubula, shayela. And I was like, ungagage, why shayela? Nga survivor. Uzobona. Utobona mao, right? Whatever. I was like, shoot. Whatever. So what do I say to my children? Particularly to my boys?
And did you mean it at the time? Is half of you hoping that Jesus, Lord, can you please make sure that this Negro turns around and walks away?
It was a mixture of fear and bravado.
Right.
Alcohol-fueled bravado. The guy could have just cocked the thing and shot me. And where would I be? So as we circle back to this issue of Olorato, which is a very, very important thing, is honestly speaking, there's so much there to talk about her, but actually the issue is a man's issue. How our manhood manifests as South Africans. There is something fundamentally wrong.
I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because this has been a lifelong battle. Yeah. This is not new. Yeah? No. I grew up when as a teenager around the time of Magic Roll.
Yes.
The idea of black men taking whatever they want from black women whenever they want is not something that's new to me. I grew up with it.
You grew up in Soweto.
I grew up in Soweto.
In the 1980s.
Zone 9, in the 80s. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so it's just hard to kind of, for example, I'll give you an example.
Yes.
A guy asks you out.
Yeah.
You are wondering, I mean, you may be like, what, 8 years old, 12 years old. A boy's asking you out. If you say no, there's a possibility you're going to get a smacking.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were sitting with my family, relatives, and one of my cousins was very proudly telling the story of how he used to beat up girls who said no to him. Do you know, to me, so and he's a particularly ignorant cousin who is without a doubt one of my most ignorant cousins. He said this, and one point that I'm not lacking in opportunity or ability to speak. I froze. I just thought, this is a man who's almost 60 years old. Is there anything that I can say that would make a difference? I was hurt.
As a feminist,
hurt.
It must have been particularly...
It was particularly galling. Corey, you're proud of yourself. You are telling everybody, including your children and grandchildren, that you used to beat up girls who said no to you. So never mind. So basically, the choices that you're given with men are very limited. And it's a very fine line that you walk.
You know, I remember walking, and I can even tell you the year. It would have been 1993, walking with my then girlfriend and a guy that she had said no to, Ekasilake, Chesterville, approached us, and they had shanks because they were willing to stab me over her. And what incensed the guy is that you say no to me, and now you're with this guy.
Right.
Whatever this thing is.
Because God forbid women should have a choice.
Should have a choice. But as we wrap this up, which we have to, but let's remember Olorato
Mongale.
What a tragic story. What a life. A young woman who had done everything, went to school, paid attention,
lived overseas,
got admitted,
took care of her mother,
good enough marks to get into Rhodes University, to get into
postgrad
at Wits University. Why?
The loss of potential.
What is the loss of that potential? And
Yeah.
for me, that is South Africans, like, I do not know. I think we've become a bit too desensitized to these things.
Agreed.
This woman can never be forgotten as well.
So for Olorato, and especially for those whose names we will never know, may you rest in peace. We'll see you after this little break. Welcome back to Still Uncaptured. So to pivot, Mapoloba, so to speak, I want to talk about dreams. Dreams. Dreams.
When is that your song? As soon as you said dreams, I was thinking, dreams can come true.
That. Interesting. No, I was thinking of the old one.
But also your favorite one.
Yeah.
Everybody has a dream.
This is my dream.
We want to talk about dreams. But
want
not
to talk
those
about
kind of dreams. You're talking
yes.
about aspirations.
Yeah.
Passions.
Yeah.
Your passions, right?
Let me ask you, there used to be this joke in the 80s that a beauty queen was being asked on stage, what are your hobbies? And she said, I don't hobby. So I want to...
Did you have to do the face and the voice though? Because this is, you see...
Isn't it funny?
Of course it's funny.
Well, then I did. So I'm curious, it's just sort of like, do you, first of all, have something that you can say, I have a hobby? Don't tell me writing. Writing is your passion. It's your life.
No, actually, I've always been at pains. I've said this so many times. I messed up and I took my passion and I made it my job. Now I write for a living.
Right.
I have deadlines now.
Right.
It's like, you need to produce this. Whereas I used to just write for fun. It was my hobby. And so now my hobby, truly my hobby, that the one thing I do to relax is I cook. I love cooking. I cook. I am such a... I've become such a foodie. I go to markets and I look for particular ingredients.
Do you search for ingredients and do you look for recipes online?
I am forever on YouTube and I'm looking at... So the one thing that truly makes me relax, and it's such an advantage. I mean, my family enjoys it so much because I cook 90% of the meals that are eaten in that household for the past 10 years. Before I came here to the studio, I was cooking.
Were you cooking dinner already?
Of course, I have to do, because I knew I was coming here.
Right.
And we only shoot around 2 to 4. So I know that by the time I get back home, it won't be enough time. And Lord forbid I should expect my wife, who has gone out, to work, to be coming back home at 6, half past 6, and
then decided to cook. Sure.
Yeah, no. So I cook. That's my hobby. What's your hobby?
I don't know, hobby. It's so sad. I used to have hobbies like running.
You used to be sad.
I was a runner.
You used to make me feel bad. Actually.
No, completely. Just sort of like 15K. I could do it. Never mind. Very easily. Like,
you used to do 21Ks, like half marathons.
Yep. And
Easily.
Weekends, I'd get in the car and I'm doing a 5K or a 10K. I'm doing a 21K. I was looking at those Facebook reminders and looking at one where I did 15Ks. Yeah. And I think I was in Cape Town. I'm just like, wow.
What happened?
Johannesburg. I became a runner when I lived in Cape Town because I lived by the beach.
I remember.
And do you know that coastal fees for medical aid are cheaper on the coastal, because coastal people are healthier. You walk more, you're just healthier. So I was that girl who just used to run all the time. And then I came to Joburg, and particularly when I bought the place in Selby, and I would go running with my dog, and there's too many men.
Wolf whistling.
There is too many men and they want attention. You can't just run. First of all, you can't put your earphones on because some para is going to take them from you. You can't run with your phone. You can't run with your watch, which takes half the fun away, quite frankly. There were too many men, and then it's just like, either you want to mention my dog or my ass.
Yeah.
And it is unpleasant to run in Johannesburg as a woman. And then, angitshela ngamateksi. Okay, umuntu, phew, it doesn't matter whether you're on the pavement or not. Like, people are wanting to swipe you. Cars don't care about pedestrians. Pedestrians don't care about cars.
And and no one is following any rules at the traffic light.
Yeah.
And I know this because I'm a walker. So there, because I'm by my really quiet. And I have to say that I've been like, honestly speaking, I realize now that the decision that Tebogo and I, my wife, took to actually live out in the East Rand was actually inspired, because at least go Boksburg, you can still walk.
Right.
You can still run.
Right.
Even though guys, pavements.
Yeah,
there are no pavements. What Americans call walkways.
Right.
Remember when former mayor, one of those ones, former mayor Paxtau, wanted to put cycling lanes on all the. And do you remember what people said?
The EFF took him to town.
Yeah.
Mm.
These are what middle class problems.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you actually think about it. If Black South Africans, just like in my neighborhood, Zimbabwean domestic workers, Zimbabwean guys that work in whatever, everyone in Boksburg cycles. You go around Boksburg, everyone's cycling. There are no cycle lanes. There are not even pavements.
Right.
So we are all fighting for the same road. But we're quite used to it. But I cannot imagine people like cycling through the CBD in Joburg.
Right.
That would not work.
No.
It would not work, right?
It would take a conscientization. It would take a whole campaign. First of all, it was so ridiculous that people were laughing at people who wanted cyclists or cycling lanes. Yeah. Because would the people of Alexandra Township not have benefited from those lanes going to Sandton?
To Sandton. Just cycling
just in J. 5 kilometers.
Yeah.
If it's not even.
Yeah.
Would they not have benefited? But sometimes we're so ignorant as Black people when we are taken by stupid political will. Yeah. Because it was some politicians who were just sort of like, that's a white thing. It was dismissed as a DA initiative, as if there couldn't be one idea that DA comes up with that could actually be useful for the larger population.
So your passion, quite frankly, when it comes to running, was really scuppered by just the material, the environment. Yeah. It is just not a conducive environment for running. And I cannot even imagine that when you are at your mother's in Spreadview, it is any better to be running around Spreadview. Because I actually remember one of the first things I actually read that you wrote was about
me running in Spreadview. And being attacked by a crazy woman, by a dog.
Because I also, for me, one of the things that I really, when it comes to passion, and I'm so glad that we ended up with cycling, because I'm actually quite passionate about cycling. I really would love to get to a point where even if I have one of those I'm 53 now, I don't give a damn. I can have a basket, and a bicycle with a basket, and I can just cycle.
I miss that about Amsterdam.
To food lovers.
And you know how healthy the Dutch are because of this cycling. So, high blood pressure, diabetes, gout. We hardly exercise. Imagine if we got into a culture of cycling. Those are cultures that I think we can still adopt. It's not too late.
It's not too late. It can be done. But what else? Like, for fun?
For fun, let me see. Like,
because I'll tell you.
Tell me.
Mina, shame. Good musically, and we talked about this. Amapiano is just not my thing. But I will tell you this one thing about Amapiano. Is that the piano beat just lends itself. Even now you're sitting there and they go, go, and you want to. My body just does not know how to do those dances. Like when the kids are like this on TikTok. Like, I really think I want to sign up for a class.
You've got 4 children. Why don't they teach you a little dancing, Anna?
What makes you think that these kids that have gone to private school can do those dances? Of course they can't. Can you imagine Sayo doing this? Sayo can't do that. Woman can't do that. Someone can do that, right? So I'm just saying that. Okay, please, in the comments, man, come on. If you've got a studio and you know you can teach a 53-year-old how to, those.
Because
those-
you know what? I watch it and maybe, you and I used to have a really bad habit.
Yeah.
We used to have a bad habit, Yoguti, when you see a kid wearing uniform.
And they like,
Yo.
and they're like,
And what did you used to say?
can we see her report?
Which is so bad.
It's so. It's like,
It is so bad.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
dance.
But what's the academic looks like? So that's not cool. But I also wish I could do that. I
really
wish I had some
do.
skills. Momo's really good. And sometimes he'll teach me like a little dance or two because like you, I've got 2 left feet.
Yeah.
All I can do is just really left and right. What else do I wish I could say? I wish I could, here's something that I should pick up again. When I was in high school, I used to play squash.
Oh, squash.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I
Yeah.
need to put up because I need to pick up something physical.
Yeah.
That's what I know for sure.
Tebuho and I have spent a lot of money on Sayo's tennis lessons. He plays, he goes there to get the Gauteng East Tennis Association. He
Right.
plays tennis.
Right.
I am not bad at tennis at all.
Okay.
No, I promise you. I used to play tournaments as well.
Right.
I mean, and I am very proud to say that as long ago as, like, I think 1991, I actually won 750,000. Good Lord. 750 Rand
Okay.
at a tennis tournament because I made it to the quarterfinals and I got knocked out.
Right.
And I think that the winner was getting like 10,000, whatever. but
Nice.
For quarterfinal. But I mean, that's how well I used to. Why am I not playing tennis with Sayo? Football.
Did you ever learn how to play an instrument, a music instrument? Because I always regretted never learning.
Rams Maboti, my friend, and I have been talking about this now, I think, for about a year, because both of us discovered that we all, even when we were young, we had this passion. We thought, like, playing the guitar would be one of the most
It's so
romantic,
sexy.
like the sexiest thing.
Udlabantwana nje.
Udlabantwana and just sit there barefoot, because that's how guitar players, barefoot.
I mean, Lady Kravitz, like.
And just like, just start strumming my face. And I remember there's this song when I was in matric that I thought, one day I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. It's a song by Crowded House.
Okay.
The Australian group that did Don't Dream It's Over.
Right.
There's a song like, somewhere deep inside, something's got a hold on me.
Okay.
And it goes like, and I know I'm right for the first time in my life. And I remember singing this, at a youth camp. And I remember thinking, oh, how awesome would it be if I was actually strumming a guitar as I'm playing this. And so, Rams, Mabut, you and I.
And the thing
come
is,
on.
like, let's encourage people our age to pick
Our
up new
age.
hobbies. It doesn't stop us, right?
Because it's also very useful.
It's very useful.
Because, this has been scientifically proven that learning a new skill in our age and learning a new skill going forward, what does it do? It staves off what?
Dementia.
And
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, dementia.
Yeah.
Learning something new. So people might see me do this. I'm never going to be so easy. But
Right.
I'm never going to be so easy. I want to be able to go to a party and need club. Because, and I think you've seen her. My wife can dance.
Yep.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Can dance.
Madaiva.
Yeah, Madaiva.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Can I admit to something that I'm not proud of, but I won't admit it.
Okay.
I have, and I would never
Yes.
date a guy who dances too well. No. Madaiva. Ngiyahlanya yini? Madaiva, the guy who starts a circle. Do you know how unsexy that is? Oh, no, you can miss me. No. I see you in a circle. You are not getting laid.
He's that.
You are not getting laid. Well, not by me.
No, but what's actually funny about that is that I remember this cousin of mine, Usandile. We were like young, we were at the university, and we go to this wedding, and we're seeing these pretty young things, and we're like, I want that one, and he's like, I want that one, and then as we're busy now watching them, we're like studying them. He's just some Pantsula song came up. I think it was Let the Good Times Roll by Anika. Did she not start covering his Pantsula? And he was like, no.
It's unsexy. For some reason, I don't find it cute when it's men. With a woman, I'm like, Lalantombi. Okay, all right. I'll stoke the circle. Mara Eka, who is in the middle, a guy who can be found in the middle of a circle.
So don't be surprised if one of these days you switch on TikTok and there I am going.
All I'll do is laugh at you. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the show. We're now going to talk about something that a lot of people struggle with, and I see it a lot on TikTok when it comes to splitting the bill.
Yeah.
What are your rules around splitting the bill? Because you found on TikTok, you find a lot of times that is, there's a couple that I've seen in the last couple of weeks. Women sitting around, a guy is somebody's boyfriend, and then he's expected to pay the bill for everybody.
I have experienced all of it, right? I remember this one time I got a call from a woman that I was interested in, and she was sitting with a bunch of her friends at JB's Corner in Melrose Arch.
Right.
And then I called my friend Maswazi and I said, oh, this is, someone that I'm interested in. She's got a couple of friends and so on. And we get there, and I do not know why, but Maswazi being Maswazi, you know how he is. And he says, when we get there, he's like, let's start our own bill here. And I'm like, why? He's like, no. And we were just, having castle lights, and I think we had 2 each, whatever. And the bill comes. And this is like way over 20 years ago, right? So, and then the bill comes, and it's like 3,000 odd. I mean, at the time, good Lord. I mean, this is like in 2001 or something, right? And we are like 3,000 rand. I think at the time I was like earning like 7,000 rand a month. And we're like, no, we are not paying for the bill. Did this woman then not proceed as they are putting the money together? Like, bebestuga, like literally insulting us because we had our own bill, and I think our bill was like $80, between the two of us. And we're like, no, we're not paying for your bill. So these things
That's
happen.
why they called you.
They called us to pay.
Do you know that apparently, I don't like this at all, but apparently South African women have a really bad reputation for doing that. Yeah. Apparently, South African women are into the habit, not me, but apparently into the habit of like, especially the slay queen types, of like calling you, I'm with my friends having drinks or whatever, and then you're stuck with the 3,000 rands bill at the end of that. And I'm just thinking like, it's not good manners.
There's someone I need to acknowledge who taught me this very early on in my early 20s. I was just, transitioning from being a student to starting to work. And we would get to a restaurant, and every single time before we said, no one sits down. Let's all stand. We stand. And Nkosi OMI, Father, Reverend Father, Catholic priest, he would say, who is paying for this? Before we sit down, we need to know who is paying, who's got money to pay.
Smart.
How much money do you...
Smart.
And I remember thinking, I'm going to adopt this. Did I? Because how many times have I sat down at a table? You're sitting there, the bill comes. People all of a sudden are on the phone.
That used to be a style in Melville as well. There used to be people who would just like all of a sudden before the bill comes, are gone. And we knew it would be like, so now you start to be like, can I have my bill separate?
Yes.
Which is, I think there's nothing also wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't mind going Dutch.
No, I
at all.
don't.
I'm one of those women who's just like, I really don't mind. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like, also, I don't owe you anything, you know? So if somebody pays for you, you kind of feel like you owe them a little something, even if it's like a little kiss a lot of times. And me, I just sort of like, akukolote. If I want to kiss you, if I want to have sex with you, that's something completely different. That has nothing to do with ugukya. So no, it's not something that I particularly like enjoy to do.
But also, I mean, there are also these little things that happen when people go out, right? So, for instance, you and I've realized we don't handle it the same way, right? When we're eating out, I have this thing, right, where even when I am not happy with what I have just
Right.
eaten, I do not send anything
Right,
back.
right.
I
don't either.
You've seen me.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, A few times after this recording, we've gone out to, one of the places here, one of the eateries here in Rosebank, and we sat. And I remember they gave me this pizza, and it was just off.
right.
It just didn't taste right. It was way too salty, and so on. And I just said, no, it's fine. And you said, no, you are not happy with that pizza. Can you make another pizza for me? And I remember groaning on the inside. I was like, oh, God. Because I do not know what people
What they're
do
gonna
in
do
those
in that.
kitchens.
I know. And you don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
So, that's a completely.
Yeah,
It's like I don't like to send things unless if it's like really, really bad. But I also trust that eatery a little bit more than others.
Of course.
Because I go there often.
No.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
a comfortable space.
Yeah, it's a comfortable
it's
space.
A very comfortable space.
But
yeah.
I think there's also a rule around if I say, people tend to believe this. Hore, if I say, Ndumiso, let's go out for a drink.
Yes.
That I'm paying. Do you have that expectation?
Yes.
That if I invite you.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
If you say to me, let's go out. So this is your idea, right? Because also, can we be honest about these things, right? People, particularly in this economy, people generally don't really have too much money for going out.
Right.
And so sometimes you even resent the person that's asking you to say go out because you're like, in my account, I really have only 671 Rand and whatever. So I'm kind of hoping that the reason that you saying, oh, let's go out is because you are in a...
I mean, I do that now.
Of course not between you and I.
Right.
Because you and I have got a very established eating out pattern because you and I have been eating out together for 18 motherfucking years.
Yes, but can I also tell people that on our second date that
Why
we were
did you have
meeting.
to go there?
No. Can we be honest? This Negro said that he forgot his wallet. So I had to pay.
I had forgotten my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Have I not proven this to you over 18 years?
Yes, you have.
I'm not
that was a real, like, I forgot my wallet.
I really had forgotten my wallet.
But my sister will never let you forget it also.
I know you will, of course. You forgot your wallet. Oh, how convenient.
Because some people forget their wallet all
the
damn
time. And, I'm like 5 to naming certain people who are in my circles, but I won't because there are guys that have been in my circles for a very long time, like over 20 years of my life, that I know that if I'm with them, they will never pay for anything.
Right.
They will never.
Right.
I know guys that will never pay.
Well, I used to know one, but I don't hang out with him anymore.
Oh, is it?
It's too much.
No, at
some point it's just kind of like, and I used to tell you about him. Oti, like, this guy never pays. Why are you always paying for him? And I said to you that I enjoy his company so much that I don't mind, right? And then it just got to a point where it's just like, no, I mind.
No. Because Nami, all those people, I don't go out with them anymore.
Yeah.
But they will still find a way to be punks.
Of the group.
Even when you say to people, guys, I am going to cook the whole morning. Right. You guys, all you need to do is pitch up with your own drinks.
Just come with a drink.
There are people that I know in my... Some of them, and now I'm just letting the cat out of the bag. Some of them I've known them for almost 40 years. I promise you. Like from high school. There are people that I know will never contribute to anything.
I have a cousin like that.
He will, we all meet every
whatever, and we all bring something.
Yeah.
This dude comes barehanded.
I know this one guy, he will come there and he's only got just the one beer in his hand and he's sitting there. And it's like 4 hours later, this guy still has this one beer. And then you actually realize, no, he has now found someone who drinks what he drinks. He's now drinking someone else's beers. Guys, we cannot be these people. No, come on, man, guys. You can't, because, and here's the thing, people do not tell these people to their face because it's awkward.
Of course it's awkward.
It's really awkward. You know, it's a clumsy.
But I think it's important because some people are just silly.
And the thing about it is, and that I want to leave people with is, if you're one of those people who never contributes, and this was, by the way, an entire chapter in my first book, some of my best friends are white, which I called I Ain't Got It, Joe, right? People talk about you behind your back. I don't know if you know this.
Right.
People talk about...
Everybody talks
about you. That you never pitch in. Look, why are you going to someone's house? Not even a little 39.95 little bottle of smooth red, some blend.
I think it's bad manners and being raised badly.
Exactly.
But we have so much more to talk about. But let's save it until next week. Thank you very much for joining us. Please keep talking to us on the socials. We'll see you next time.